Hello everybody, this is Gordon from Maryhill, or Made in Maryhill. A good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening to everyone watching, wherever you are on this beautiful blue planet. The time is 10 minutes to 5 in the morning of Monday the 13th of July 2020. Everybody seems to be doing these walk-in talks, so as of yesterday I decided I would do one as well. Let's get the technical details out of the way first. I do not have an iPhone, I do not have one of these fancy Osmo or Pogo cameras. This is a digital SLR, so the chances are it's going to be a sugary picture, and it's just an inbuilt microphone on it, so the sound could be a bit dodgy, the picture may be a bit sugary. But the reason that I wanted to do a little walk and talk is, well, it's about time I told my story, and I'm going to hopefully share my testimony with other victims and survivors of childhood sexual abuse. Let's get cut straight to the chase. My name is Gordon McCracken. I am 54 years old and I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. Between the ages of 0 and 6 years old, I was sexually abused by two people, a man and a woman. The woman was an extremely close family member. I will never name this woman in public, whether she be dead or alive. John Wedger knows who this woman is, and I have told other people in private, but I will never name her in public. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I only found out that I was sexually abused in June 2015 at the age of 49. I will repeat that. I only found out that I was sexually abused in June 2015 at the age of 49. Talk about a bombshell. It was a nuclear war. The year 2015 initially was a year from hell, but at the end of it, it turned out to be a gift from God. Now, I haven't really planned what I'm going to say, so I'm just going to let this flow naturally. You're probably wondering where I am. Well, I am currently standing here in the city of Glasgow, Scotland, UK. I'm not going to tell you the exact location because it is basically Glasgow's best kept secret. But the river you are looking at is the River Kelvin. That flows down through the city and joins the River Clyde at the Glasgow Transport Museum. Now, I don't really know if this will go up on my YouTube channel. I will possibly, well, I will be pausing this I don't even know if it will go up, because this will have to be loaded onto the computer, then edited in the software that came with this camera, and I don't even know if the software and computer will be able to actually perform the task, but we'll wait and see. But as of yesterday, Sunday 12th of July, I decided that enough was enough. It was about time that I shared my testimony, and without interruption. I have gone public with a radio interview that I done with John Wedger back in April of this year, 2020, on the Voice of Islam radio. I done about 15 minutes, and using my full name, Gordon McCracken. And once the interview was finished and I put the phone down, I thought, oh, it's a digital radio station, it's also broadcast on the internet. And I realised I have just shared my story with the whole world. The whole world knows now that I am a survivor. And I thought, how do I feel? Whoa, it feels really, really good. And as I'm standing here in this beautiful place, this is my favourite place on the planet, by the way, and this is where I come to keep me sane. I've had some beautiful, beautiful times in this park. And as I'm standing here now talking, it feels really, really good. It's not even 5 o'clock in the morning, and I am completely safe. I feel completely comfortable and relaxed. Please forgive the wind noises. It's just a built-in microphone in this camera, so I tested it last night, so the sound will possibly be pretty ropey. But hey, it is what it is. Necessity is the mother of invention, and it's about time I went public. The whole world should know what happened to me, because my life was an absolute mess. Now I'm going to pan round and just show you some more of where I am. Absolutely beautiful. And the two little seats here. This is one place where I come. But I'll make my way up and we'll go to the booze bench. Because not only am I a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, I am also a recovering alcoholic. I am now, as of this month, July 2020, I am now 4.5 years sober, which is wonderful. So, let me think. Let's get walking. Right, I'm going to put the camera down. So obviously I'm holding it, it's hanging around my neck. Or will I sit down? Let's sit down for a while. Yeah, because there's no inbuilt image stabilization, so when I walk with it, the image gets all kind of sugary and messy. Right. How did it take me until the age of 49 to find out that I was sexually abused? Hold on, I'm going to stand up. How did it take? I was thinking about this last night. I came up here last night and I put the camera on. It was really nice and quiet, and I wandered around. And as I was doing the test walk and talk, I don't expect anybody watching this to believe a single word that I say, because I'm not here to prove anything to anyone. I don't have to prove anything to anyone, because I have nothing to prove. I'm just going to share my testimony, my story, for two reasons. Number one, and it's not number one, number two, they're joint. It's both of them are equal. But number one reason, I want to share my testimony in order to hopefully help other victims and survivors. And number two, I want to share my testimony and I make no secret about this, in order to help myself. Because I need to come to terms with what happened to me. And I am still, well, I will never recover from what happened to me. And I will carry with it that some of the things that happened to me, well, as I say, I will never recover from. And I have to come to terms with that, because I'm sure other victims and survivors, I can't speak for anyone but myself, but the biggest problem that I have had throughout my life, and when I realised now that it was sexual abuse that caused all my problems, the biggest problem for me was, of course, the psychological problems, because sexual abuse messes with your head. I don't call it mental problems, it's psychological problems. Right, let's go right back to the start. So, I'm 54 years old. I was born in 1965 here in the city of Glasgow. The abuse happened to me in the family home in the city of Glasgow. I was never in the care system. Between the ages of 0 and 6 years old, I had 2 recurring nightmares. They happened countless times. And by countless, of course, I mean they happened so many times that I simply lost count of them. Both of those nightmares, I can remember them in crystal clear detail. As I'm speaking now, they are running round in my head. They were nightmares when I was a child at the time, but they terrified me at the time, but they certainly do not scare me now, and I am completely comfortable talking about them. So, the 2 nightmares, they were exactly the same images every single time. There was no sexual activity, there was no nudity, there was no violence, there wasn't even any swearing. But both of those nightmares were completely and utterly effing terrifying. Both nightmares would run like people of a certain age will remember back like to the 1970s and early 80s when you had double bills at the cinema. 2 movies. So these nightmares ran like a double bill. They always one followed the other. And at the end of the second nightmare, I would wake up in my bed, in the dark, flat on my back, with my arms at my sides, my legs straight out, staring at the ceiling in absolute effing terror. And I mean terror. It wasn't fear, it was terror. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, I couldn't cry out. Absolutely paralysed with terror. And I never told anyone about those nightmares. I never told a soul. The very first person that I told about those nightmares was a friend that I had at the time. And I think, if I remember rightly, I told him in the year 2000. And in the year 2000, I think I was either 34 or 35. And I remember telling him, he was in my living room, and I told him the full content of both nightmares. And I always remember the look on his face. He was absolutely blown away. He was scared when I told him. And as he said, "What the hell is that?" He says, "You were dreaming." He says, "Where the hell?" And And he just snapped to attention. He's like, wait a second. He says, what the hell was that all about? He says, where did you get those images? He says, back then in the 1960s, early 70s, there was nothing like that on television. He says, because back then, we only had, what was it, 2 channels? BBC One, BBC Two, or 3 channels, BBC One, whatever it was. He says, even back then, for adults, there was nothing like that. This was before home videos, satellite TVs. He says, where the hell did you get those images from? He says, you're actually scaring me. And I told him in detail, I says, these nightmares, or these dreams, I just call them dreams now. I'll stop calling them nightmares and just refer to them as dreams. So after they happened, those dreams ran round my head continually in a constant loop from the moment I opened my eyes in the morning until I closed them at night. Those dreams would run round my head continually, and I mean continually, every single waking moment, for over 50 years. They only started to fade in 2018 when I was undergoing counselling. So, I had those nightmares and I never told anyone. So my earliest childhood memories were 2 terrifying nightmares and waking up in my bed in the dark, paralysed with terror. Welcome to planet Earth, Gordon. And then it was all downhill from there. I think I'm going to pause that just now. I feel good. We'll pause that just now and then I'll probably move up to the booze bench. Okay, I'm back now. It is exactly 5:30 on the morning of Monday, 13th of July, 2020, and I am now heading towards the booze bench. And this plays a very important part in my story. So, as I said, I am a recovering alcoholic. Oh, and before we continue, obviously, if anyone, I should be completely alone here, but of course, if anyone appears, I'll switch the camera off, and I certainly will not put anyone else on screen. So, well, you know the score. So, this, where we're going now, this played a huge part in my story. As I say, I am a recovering alcoholic, and during the final years of my alcoholism, this was my favourite place to come. I was never one for pubs. I have never been one for socialising, full stop. I would always drink alone, and I've always liked al fresco drinking outdoors, and I would come here of an evening. I would have my red or white wine and my good quality strong continental lager. I would decant those drinks into soft drink bottles, then I would come up here and sit here. Let me put my bag and jacket down. Give me a wee second. And this is where I would come. I'll walk backwards. Let's get this in shot. So this is the legendary booze bench. I would sit here alone. I would use, so the final years, I'd started drinking alcoholically in the autumn, winter of 1988. And then as the years progressed, I on and off, so it was basically 27 years of drink and, full disclosure, drug use. But we'll get to that. 27 years of drinking drugs, but we'll stick to the alcohol for a second. And so for the final years of my drinking, I would come here, soft drink bottles, alcohol into soft drink bottles, and I would sit alone until I'd had enough. I've always had that little off switch. I knew when I had enough, then I would make my way back home and have a meal, and then bedtime. Anyway, so that was one of the spots, and then we'll go down here to my second spot. This was another little place I liked to sit when I was drinking alone. I would listen to music or podcasts, and it was probably, obviously John Wedger went public in 2014, and so between 2014 and the final days of my drinking, I was probably listening to podcasts of John and UK Column and whatnot. So this was another spot I would come, and I would sit here. In fact, we'll sit down on it. This tree, so 5 years ago, this was just nothing but a tiny little sapling. This oak tree, this baby oak tree. So I would sit here on this. It's a kind of animal feeding box. So, and I'll sit down on it and I'll show you what I would look at. So I would sit here, put my feet into the fence, and that's what I was looking at. And again, unlike John, I'll be honest, I don't even know the things that I'm looking at. I couldn't even, I'll try and zoom in. I couldn't even tell you where that is, and I'm not really interested. Please forgive me until I move the zoom lens. Let's pan round. That's the gasworks. That's Annie's, was it Annie's Land or Temple? Doesn't matter, that's the gasworks. And that's North Kelvin side, if I remember rightly. But anyway, and remember, this is the city of Glasgow, Scotland, UK, the biggest city in Scotland. And most people have absolutely no idea it's like this. People think it's all deprivation and slums and whatnot. It's extremely beautiful. Pan round. So I would come up here and drink. And in October 2014, let me sit down on the box. In October 2014, I've always been blessed with really good health. I look younger than I actually am. I'm physically very strong and mentally very strong. So I've been blessed with really good health. The two great loves of my life are music and food. And I'll say three things now: music, food and education. And I absolutely love food. I love all sorts of food. I taught myself to cook, and I'm going to blow my own trumpet. I'm actually a very good cook. I'm no Gordon Ramsay, but I'm a very good cook. Lots of people have told me that. Anyway, so I always ate really well, and I've always loved fruit and veg and whatnot. So that's one of the reasons that I'm still alive. Also, I never mixed drink and drugs together. I started using drugs in the year 2000. So again, 34, 35 years old, started using drugs. Not a good idea, really, is it? But when you're a survivor of sexual abuse, and at that time you have absolutely no idea you've been abused, but you know that there's something seriously wrong, which I did. Even though I didn't know I was a survivor, I knew that there was something seriously wrong, because after well, as I say, I found out in June 2015. I won't go, something happened, I won't say at the moment, but something happened and I realised, oh, of course, that's what it was. It was sexual abuse. So even though I was seriously ill during 2015, I started to make my own inquiries, due to the magic of the internet. And the internet to me is the single greatest invention in human history. Yes, I know there's so much horrible, nasty stuff, but that's life in general. Everything in life has a bad side and a good side. What you have to do is use your intelligence and common sense and avoid the bad side. And so I only see the good side of the internet. So I started to make more inquiries. Oh, of course. Out of all the problems that can occur in an adult's life due to sexual abuse, I have most of those problems. How do I know? Well, I found, due to my own research, bang, that's me. So after the nightmares, let's go back to that. So between the ages of 0 and 6 years old, my life was all downhill from there. Wetting the bed, obviously due a difficulty being around other people, that's male and female, for obvious reasons. My schoolwork went right downhill. I would wet myself at school. I had the inability to even ask to go to the toilet. I would sit in the classrooms in complete silence. And so I've always had that. I've always had dog's abuse over the years. You're a weirdo, you're a nutter, because I just sit in silence. And I only talk when I've got something to say, and it's something intelligent or deep and meaningful. I can't do small talk. I can't do mindless trivia. It just does my head in. It's one of the problems. As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the great problems in this world. People just obsess with mindless trivia. So I was at school, work went downhill. And I had absolutely no idea. I just thought I wasn't interested. So, and then once I got to puberty, oh dear. I won't go there just now. But I plan, if I tell my full testimony, no stone will be left unturned. I will not say anything graphic, because there really isn't anything graphic to say. No, I will. This is as graphic as it will get. Between January 2017 and August 2018, I was blessed with a wonderful counselling service. And before I even started counselling, I decided that I'm not afraid of the truth. Most people don't know anything about me, but I genuinely am not afraid of the truth. I have no fear, no matter how horrible or disgusting, or no matter where it goes, how dark. So I decided, if I'm going to do counselling, no stone will be left unturned. And I was fully aware that there was a possibility of some horrific memories coming up. And I think it was the summer of 20, so it was 2 years ago. And oh boy, some horrific memories did come up. Genuinely frightening. And all I will say is what was done to me wasn't just regular sex. It was S&M, or sadomasochistic sex acts were committed on me by this female family member. And when I realised that and I processed it and dealt with it, I thought, oh dear, dear, dear. No wonder I'm psychologically damaged. Not mentally damaged, psychologically, because my mental health is absolutely top notch. As of today, my mental and physical health is the best that it's ever been. This is the closest I have ever come to true happiness. I actually feel comfortable in my own skin for the first time ever. And that is an incredible feeling. And I genuinely, truly hope that not just victims and survivors, but I just hope that every single human being on this earth can experience true happiness in their life and to feel comfortable in their own skin, because it's an absolutely incredible feeling. It's better than any drug or any alcohol. I mean, I certainly will not apologise for it. I had some incredible times when I used drugs. Some beautiful, deep, loving, spiritual experiences on drugs. And as of this moment, with all the madness going on in the world right now, I have never felt more happy. And I'm not trying to belittle anyone thinking I'm absolutely not trying to bum myself up. I'm just a flesh and blood human being, a man, just another soul on this earth. I'm nothing special. I'm certainly not better than anyone else on this earth. In fact, we're all equal. We're all the same. Right, what I think I'll do, it's 6:15 in the morning now. I think I'll pause it just now. I'll go back home and have a sleep, go back to bed. Right, so this is Gordon McCracken, 54 years old, victim, survivor, thriver of childhood sexual abuse, signing off just now from Glasgow's Best Kept Secret.